What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and first of all, Happy New Year. Thank you guys for watching everything. I appreciate you guys. But in today's video, I want to talk about who I think the fighter of the year was in 2023. And me personally, I think I'm going to go Sean Strickland. I know a lot of people are saying Alex Pereira. A lot of people might be saying Islam Makhachev. Maybe some people out there might say Leon Edwards. But I picked Sean Strickland because, for one, he's only had wins this year. Alex Pereira, although he has some great wins over Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Prochazka, which are better wins than the wins over Imavov and Abus Magomedov for Strickland, he did take an L, and he lost pretty badly to Israel Adesanya. He knocked out bad. Although you could argue Pereira was probably winning that fight. It was actually, yeah, you should say Pereira was winning the fight. He got caught, but he got knocked out badly, and it was relatively early in the fight. When Sean Strickland, he not only, in my opinion, had the upset of the year, but arguably the performance of the year, because he went out there against a guy that a lot of people thought he had no business of being in there with, Israel the last Albano Adesanya. But Sean Strickland just marched in there. He had a great game plan, a great strategy, and he just put it on Adesanya. He probably lost one round. He was losing the first round, in my opinion, until like the knockdown, and he lost the second round. But outside of that, it was relatively easy. He didn't really take much damage. He arguably had the best defensive performance out of any title fight I've seen before. But yeah, and also the fact that he stayed active too. Like, he didn't really have much of a training camp. He had like a couple weeks for the Adesanya fight, because like the UFC said it was on, then it got canceled, and then it was on again. So he had to stay ready. He didn't really have a full training camp like some of these guys have. But then he fought Imavov on short notice, and that was at 205. I think that was 5 days notice or something like that. So it was really, really short. And then he took on Abus Magomedov, which, you know, he shouldn't have had to fight him, but he just wanted to stay active, and there was no one else, so he fought him. And he didn't really have much tape on him, so he kind of had to go in there and just adapt to him in the fight and make adjustments in the fight. He didn't have that time to prepare with a training camp, because he didn't have much footage on him, at least for his UFC wise. But yeah, that's the case I have for Sean Strickland. The activity, the wins, the performances too, because in all those fights, was it really competitive at any point? Like, the Imavov one, it wasn't really that competitive, and it was on short notice. Like, you're making a contender look that ridiculous on short notice. Then you go on and fight a guy who you have no footage on, and you destroy him in 2 rounds. And then you fight arguably the greatest middleweight of all time, at least the second greatest middleweight of all time, and you beat him without a really full training camp. You dominated him, and you beat him, and you upset him too. Although Islam does have 2 wins over the pound for pound at the time, Alexander Volkanovski. You know, those were impressive, but the first fight, I gotta be honest, watching it live, I thought that Volkanovski had won. But going back and seeing it, Islam won 4 rounds out of the 5 rounds in that fight. It was close, but Islam won. I think he had the bigger moments, the cleaner strikes. And he had a really good performance. And then he didn't fight up, from February to October. He didn't fight in between that. And then he fought Alexander Volkanovski again, because Oliveira pulled out. And he did what he was supposed to do, and he knocked him out. That was a really good performance as well from Islam, knocking out a guy in 1 round, a guy who took you to a pretty tough decision and a tough fight, and you just got rid of him in a round. So that's just improvement. It's definitely a good win. But what I want to see from Islam is more activity. The guy's just he isn't the most active guy. You know what he's gonna fight. He's always gonna fight in October, and when he fights in October, he's probably not gonna fight in November or December. So that's just that leaves the rest of the year. He has before October. That's 10 months before. you could probably get 2 fights in, especially if you fight in February. You can come back in like June, maybe July. Like Volkanovski arguably took more damage than Islam in their first fight, but he came back in in July. Well, Islam just sat out until like October, so this guy needs to stay active. And Volkanovski was bulking up, so it is a great win, but it's not Volkanovski at his best in my opinion. Especially that second fight, I feel like the UFC made a huge mistake because that's a super fight, and you never want to do that to one of your best fighters in the world. You had Mateusz Gamrot, so put him in there against Islam. That would have been another good win against the lightweight contender who was actually preparing for you. And then the case of Leon Edwards, I don't think he's fighter of the year because he fought Kamaru Usman and he beat Kamaru Usman, which was a really good win. But I've heard that Kamaru Usman was injured going into that fight. He had like a hand surgery. Like if you guys remember, a few weeks before their fight, Usman was like at his promotion in Africa. He had like some hand wrap on his right hand, basically making it seem like he was injured in the hand. But Usman just like toughed it out. And he decided to go through that fight because he didn't know if he was gonna get another opportunity or if Leon was gonna lose or anything like that. So, although it was a good win, I do feel like Kamaru Usman wasn't at 100%. I think he might have rushed his comeback a bit, but yeah. And then the Kobe fight, Kobe just didn't really do much. It wasn't really like a challenge for Leon. We all thought it was gonna be, but it wasn't. So, in my opinion, you could have gotten another fight in there. You weren't injured, so stay active. But yeah, like Pereira, same thing. He had the activity, but he got knocked out by Adesanya. So my fighter of the year 2023 is Sean Strickland, and we'll see what happens next year if he can keep the belt and if he can keep the momentum going for him.